break. You guys on the band? Because this is He and Anna Man Sing from CBC here at Vancouver. And these are some of the headlines I will be covering tonight. Traffic accident at Willowsport. Vehicle number 2 plunges into water. Man rams glass. An uncle guest becomes God. Now for the details. Major Warren Hiscock was involved in a minor traffic accident last week in the town of Willowsport. Apparently, Major Hiscock was in the turning lane going into the local co-op store when he spotted a no tax sign in Byways store on the opposite side of the road. As Major Hiscock is retiring on a fixed income, he quickly realized this was an excellent opportunity to shop like Santa and save like Scrooge. So without any hesitation, he immediately turned in the opposite direction to what his signal light was indicating. A young man from Porterville was just passing by at the same moment, and Major Hiscock hit his vehicle, causing the young man to lose control. His vehicle swerved back and forth several times before the young man finally regained control. Only minor damage was sustained to both vehicles. However, by the time the police was finished writing their reports, Byway was closed, and Major Hiscock missed out on a great shopping spree. A final note, it would be much safer for the general public if Major Hiscock would consider shopping online, or probably using the Sears catalog. The next headline, vehicle number 2 plunges into water. Mr. Cecil Husband's home is located on the scenic banks of the North Shore water inlet. Mr. Husband has been in the habit of leaving vehicles with motors running and in neutral by his house unattended. It was only a few days ago he went and started his daughter's car to warm it up for her as she was getting ready to go to work at Bauld. Having started the car, he returned to the table to finish off his supper. When all of a sudden he heard such a clatter, he sprang from the table to see what's the matter. Went to the window, he flew with a flash, and grabbing the handle, he threw up the sash. And what do you think to his eyes did appear? His daughter's new car flying through the air. A Pontiac Sunbird sailed over the bank and into the water, and down she sank. 'Twas then he remembered, oh, what a blunder. The car was in neutral as the tail weighs 100. In total frustration, what could he do? Because this was not car number 1, but car number 2. That's true. 2 cars after one. Some people are wondering if he's in his right mind to let this happen for the second time. The insurance company sent a letter by mail that the Department of Byways will install a guardrail. And just to be sure of no other bill, they installed a sign flashing blind wheel. Okay, for our next story. It says, man rams glass. Mr. Hyde Gilliam attended an anniversary dinner at the Albatross Hotel in Gander, a dinner in honor of Mr. and Mrs. Terry Bauld's anniversary. Toby and Fern Bauld, as well as Wayne and Ruth Gilliam, was also in attendance. The dinner went quite well, and each one enjoyed the spirit of the evening. As the dinner drew near an end, Mr. Ivan Gilliam excused himself from the table and proceeded to view a few paintings that was decorated the dining room hall. However, Mr. Gilliam forgot that he was in the restaurant section, and the paintings he was seeing was in the hall, which was separated by a glass corner. Now, as Mr. Gilliam is a renowned artist himself, he was quite taken up by these paintings. So taken up, he failed to see the glass, which he was heading straight for. And like the ship, the Titanic, on that cold, dark night in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, it too late to sound any alarms, we all braced for the impact. Yes, he hit it dead on. Glasses coming off his eyes. Well, amidst the laughter that erupted, which lasted for several hours, however, Mr. Gilliam did not find the incident funny at all. It says Caribou Pond Outfitters, a hunting camp located on the south side of Gander Lake, is known around the world for its great moose hunting adventures. However, Mr. John Herrickson of North Dakota got much more than he bargained for this fall when he visited the outfitting camp owned by Baxter Slate. Mr. Herrickson had been a regular guest at Caribou Pond Outfitters for the past 3 years, and it seems that each year he gets stuck with the same guide, a chap by the name of Gern Gilliam. Gern acts as a part-time guide during the fall, and for the rest of the year, he's a body stuffer for Wolfer's funeral home. Mr. Herrickson complained on several occasions that trying to keep up with Gern's long legs on a hunting trip is like running a Boston Marathon. On one of his trips, after chasing Gern for 2 hours, and he was totally exhausted, Mr. Herrickson asked him if he was trying to drum up some business for a funeral home. Mr. Herrickson stated that the normal procedure for Gern is to start hunting early in the morning, walk for 2 hours over bogs, windfalls, and every other kind of rough terrain, trying to wear him down so that he can sleep all afternoon. One of these afternoons, Mr. Herrickson was quite exhausted and was certainly not up for a long hike in the woods. Was told by Gern that this would be a very easy evening of hunting, as he had picked out a small brook to paddle down that led to a lake where Gord Parsons would pick them up in the truck. So, being assured that this would be a relaxing evening, he reluctantly agreed to go. Gern put the canoe off and packed her gear aboard, and Mr. Herrickson sat in the front seat with a rifle while Gern paddled down slowly down the stream. All was going well, the brook was calm, a small breeze of winds, the sun set low on the horizon. Gern was expecting to see a moose at any minute. As they rounded a few bends, Mr. Herrickson noticed that the water was starting to pick up a bit in speed and becoming a bit rougher as they rounded each turn. Still confident that his guide had traveled down this brook many times before, he tried to relax and enjoy the ride. All of a sudden, the canoe dipped over the top of a rapid. Waves and rocks went whizzing by. Up and down goes the canoe. It was too late for the brace for any impact as a giant wave came right over the canoe, washing Mr. Herrickson right off his seat and backwards down into the bottom of the half-swamped canoe. He clung helplessly to his rifle as several other waves keep crashing over the bow. He was about to say his prayers when by some miracle his guide regained control of the boat. I think the best thing for you to do, John, the guide said, is to get out on the other side and walk a little while I take the canoe over the rest of the rapid. Without any arguments, Mr. Herrickson stepped out of the canoe and went right to his waist in water. Oh my. I told those guys that we were when we were out for the dinner, see? The Gilliams, all the Gilliams there, for those of you who knew, all the Gilliams there, don't they? I want to ask them all to stand because they're over half the congregation. But they're all related to me and everything, and I told them that with you fellas his wife and said, I got no worries, I'll never run out of material. So without any argument, Mr. Harris, oh yeah, okay, got that part. Gurn had not told his guide that he had never traveled down this brook before, but wanted to impress Mr. Harrison on his canoeing skills. Well, impress him he did. Because when Gurn rounded the next turn, he was met by a sudden drop-off. Without any time to change course, he headed straight over the falls. The canoe dug in the bottom and Gurn went flying, head first, into the water. Hacks, binoculars, lunch bag, paddles, and everything went flying out. When he finally broke water, the canoe was sunk and gone across a rock. No sign of any of his gear, and his guess, well, now he had to become a lifeguard. Well, it was way past dark that night when they finally returned to camp. Wet, cold, and hungry, still no moose, and now short of a few precious supplies. For the rest of the week, his guide liked to sleep right through the alarm clock and had to be wakened by his guests. He still takes his naps in the afternoon and likes to remind people how hard he works. Rumor has it that on several trips, Mr. Erickson even had to cook his own meals. Finally, one morning, Gurn managed to be quiet enough so that they seen a moose. And by some great streak of luck, John gets a chance to get a shot away. John, being such a good shot, the moose gets bagged. John figures he should get it over with before he really gets taken for a ride. So Gurn gets ready for the panching. And the first thing he does is tread on his hunting knife and breaks it off. Looks over towards John and asks if he could use his. John decides he better clean the moose to be on the safe side. Now the guest has become the guide. So Mr. Erickson said if you're in the market for a near-death adventure, he would not hesitate to recommend going on a hunting trip with Gurn. But he said just some final comments. He said, there is never a dull moment with Gurn, from racing across the lake in the dark, stumbling through the forest in the rain, falling out of canoes, getting lost, but he always managed to get you your animal. But he said, you better make sure your life insurance policy is paid off. Okay, that's it for the news. Now, there's one other story I think I should tell. I was going to sing it. Probably I should sing it. But anyway, it goes in the tune of Hammer or Sheep. It says, here's the finish of the story I think that I should tell about Ivan and Gonzo's trip down to Wesleyville. Now, probably I should give you a little bit of background here. Larry and Sylvia. Stand up there, Larry and Sylvia. So Larry and Sylvia, see, Ivan and Katie, them always used to pick lots of partridge berries. And then Larry and Sylvia got in on it, and at one of the last sing-alongs, they picked so many partridge berries, drove the price on down. So now Ivan figures that the only way to fast to make $1 is going to bake apples. Okay, thank you. You got any left over? Yes. Lots of them. Anybody wants partridge berries, go and see them. So there's about a trip that Gonzo and Ivan took now down to Wesleyville to get some partridge berries, some baked apples. Okay? So there's it. So they went down to get some berries to sell and make some dough. But like every trip they take, they ended up in the hole. With the baked apple berry market at a all-time low, the partridge berry market at a all-time low, and painting sales were almost gone, he had no choice but go. And trying to sell a rabbit was really quite a feat. And with just a pension to live on, it was hard to make ends meet. That's all it was. So when Gonzo called with the news that the baked apples, they were tick, he never stopped to hesitate. He said, I'll go right quick. But if he only stopped and really stopped to count the cost, he wouldn't have went to Wesleyville and suffered a great loss. At 4 o'clock in the morning, they headed on their way. We got to be out on the bog before the break of day. They got the corn down from the truck and loaded on their pails. And as they rode across the bog, they were hanging up their sails. Well, Gonzo was on the front and Ivan on the rack. They were looking for the berries to see where they were at. They didn't realize they were hidden for their feet when the quad went in a hole with mud up to the seat. Well, they shoved the quad in the four-wheel drive and tried to get her to go. But the more they spun the tires, the more she sunk down in the hole. We'll have to cut some tops and try to find a rope. Now, Ivan, he was getting sick. His 2 feet were soaked. They went and got some tops and packed them in the hole. They pulled and pulled and pulled, but that darn trike wouldn't go. Ivan reached down under the rack to try to lift the bike. His watch come off his arm and went down out of sight. By this time he's poisoned, because the day is going fast. We'd be lucky we get enough berries to cover our gas. And the new shirt he's wearing got mud all up the back, so he decides to take it off and hang it on the rack. After a hour, they got the quad finally on the goal. Gonzo took a spin around the Bauld while Ivan sat down and took a blow. He was gone for quite a while, but when he finally got back, Ivan's new shirt was no longer on the rack. And Ivan didn't like the look he saw on Gonzo's face, for Gonzo said right then and there, there's not a berry in this place. Well, Ivan was disgusted. He said, this is the hit. If I had my time back, I'd have stayed home in bed. Well, he got the quad loaded up and the trailer and the truck. But the story is not over. He had some more bad luck. They were flying back together with the pedal to the mat. When all of a sudden there was a bang and the trailer got flat. Well, of course, you know Gonzo, he never had a spare. So they had no other choice but leave the trailer there. When they finally got back to the house with the trailer in tow, they had all their money gone, but not a thing to show. So if you total up the bill, I know it's going to smirk for a tire plus gas and watch, and don't forget the shirt. If they got 30 gallons, they wouldn't have one to spare. They'd have to sell every one just to cover the wear. So to finish off the story, I hope you understand. You should never count yourselves with berries in your hand. And Ivan said, never no more. If I live to be 110, will I ever go pick berries for God's and again? Now, you ever see a guy like that before? Man, he's crazy. Boy, he's crazy. Some of the story he told me was true, but there's a lot of them stretched, I'll tell you. Just a moment, then we're going to take another break. Yeah, some of what he said was true. There's a lot of it was stretched a little bit too far. But we did have a mishap up there, fall guys, and the canoe was swamped, and my guest went in the water. I lost my axe and I lost my paddle, but my armor got a little bit bent after series. Story from his guest. The man emailed me from right down in North Dakota. So, you know, I got it right from the horse's mouth. You're too overcome, go you. You're too overcome. I did lose my buddy's axe back, the Doyle's axe, but I'll give him another one before too long. He's another case, folks. At this time, my sister Donna got to come. She got something to do here. I don't know what it is. She hasn't told me. She just said she wanted a minute to do something. So I want to give her the liberty to do what she got to do. Don't be as long as Toby.
Toby is like the Pentecostal preachers. He's long-winded, most of them. So, Donna, just take a few minutes, Donna, because we got a lot more singing to do.
Very quickly. And this is not me, by the way. This is coming from my sister Norma. What a grin of youthfulness, a parting of chestnut hair, slender face and dreamy eyes, and a checked shirt from Fashion Flair. At this age, he looks so cute, lovable, and yet so cool. I'd say if we were around way back then, he was the hot guy in Gander Bay School. Now, as the years went by, changes we do see. Hair on the lip, wacky shirt, slender face, but eyes that are still dreamy. The only thing I feel I should point out is the hair growth on the side, due to the lack of on the top, with a big curl he is trying to hide. But as you can see before you tonight, the top is pretty well gone. Hair vanished around the face, but around the belt, weights put on. Sorry, Cole.
Gern is trying to get the water in the boat.